you're not getting a bite of the picanha. That is so good. Honestly, that steak has so much flavor. That salsa criolla is like the best accompaniment. It just lifts it, breaks up a lot of that fattiness. So good. I'm so excited to kick off the series with one of my favorite cuts of beef. This is picanha steaks with a salsa criolla and creamed corn. You might be saying to yourself, pica what? And I want to hear us all say it together. Picanha. Very, very good. So that is a Brazilian word for this cut of steak, which is the beef rump cap, because it is the top of the rump, has that beautiful fat cap on top. I became familiar with this one as a kid. I grew up in South Florida, Cuban family, but there was always loads of Brazilian and Argentinian steakhouses around. And picanha was the steak that everyone that knew about good steaks would order. It is like butter tender, incredible flavor, and I think it just shows like the diversity of how like different pieces of beef can actually taste quite different. This is one of my favorites. So it's always a good idea whenever you're cooking any kind of steak that you bring it out to room temperature before you cook it. Just means you're gonna get a more even and faster cook, and we all wanna eat sooner rather than later. So whenever I know I wanna cook a steak, I just bring it out of the fridge, set it on my bench top, go about doing all the other things, and then when I get to it, it should be at room temp. So this is our beef rump cap. Beautiful piece of fat on top. Do not take that off. That is so important for how we're gonna cook it. You can buy these and you will often find them already cut into steaks. But I just wanna talk about something in this steak, you can sort of see that the grain runs like that. You might think that cutting the steaks this way would be the right thing to do, but actually you wanna cut rump cap like this. So it'll look like you've cut it with the grain, but after we've cooked it, we're gonna cut it again into pieces like that will be against the grain. It's actually remarkable once you cut it the other way versus this way and you cook them side by side. This way is like very much more tender. So once you've got them sliced up, and again, you can totally just buy steaks from your butcher or your grocery store that are already pre-cut like that. I just wanted to show you that how that looks as a whole and how you would cut it if you did buy a whole rump cap. So we'll get those off to the side while we prepare our corn. So to make our creamed corn, we're gonna start off by sauteing a little bit of onion in a pan with some butter. Yeah, because I wear contact lenses. That's the pro tip for not crying. A little bit of butter goes in. Onions. While those onions are softening up, I'm gonna prepare the corn. I do this on a box grater, which I think gives you the most beautiful, like milky corn texture without giving you like baby food. You kind of like scrape off all of that like milkiness that comes out of the corn cob, and it'll give you this really beautiful creamy texture. Yes, we love corn. Okay, we've grated up all of our corn. Just gonna put that in with our onions. And then I'm gonna add some cream. This just needs a little bit of seasoning. And that's it. It only needs to cook for like a minute or two. So I'm just gonna turn the heat off and let that chill out until we've got everything else ready. We can just reheat it. Ooh, smells like summertime. So now we're gonna get on to making our salsa criolla, which is very similar to a chimichurri. Few more additions to it. Dice that up really small. And then we put a bit of vinegar over that. Quite a bit of vinegar. It actually forms like quite a bit of this dressing. It's kind of like a really sharp counterpoint to the nice fatty beef. I love that combination. So just to pretty much cover them. Add a bit of salt. And they'll just get like nice and pickly in that vinegar. So they'll soften a little bit. They won't come off like raw onion. Next up, a little bit of tomato. So this is what makes a criolla as opposed to a chimichurri. It's almost like salad and sauce at the same time. I think it's actually a very like common sauce that you'd find to serve with steaks. So, you know, it's just something a little bit different to try, especially like we're using corn, we've got tomato, it's summertime. That's kind of when these veggies are at their peak. So they go really well together. All that tomato, all those juices go in with the onions. Give that a little mix. Next up, a little jalapeno for some heat. You could skip this if you don't want spicy, or you could use like a little sweet capsicum, which would also be really nice here. I cut the seeds out to minimize some of that heat, but if you want really spicy, you could leave them in. Beautiful. A little bit of dried oregano. Peel some garlic. I'm going to use my microplane again. I love using a microplane in things where the garlic might still be kind of raw because it makes it really fine. Mixes in really well. Just 1 clove. And then lots of beautiful parsley. So tender, fine stems, totally delicious, totally fine. You don't have to spend too much time picking parsley off stems. Okay, perfect. It's fine enough. I'll just add in the olive oil first because I want it to kind of coat the parsley as it goes in to not let it go brown right away. And it's so easy, so fresh and delicious. This is a sauce that could go with almost any steak, but definitely something that's got a good bit of fat on it because that vinegar in there does such a beautiful job of cutting through that. That salsa criolla is like the best accompaniment. It just lifts it. That would be an amazing summer dish. We've got our beautiful picanha steaks here. Again, look at how gorgeous that fat is. We're gonna really take advantage of that. We're gonna first render the fat, and then that's what the steak is gonna cook in. I'm gonna season these now because they're pretty thin. If you were doing like a big, thick, 1 kilo steak, I would say season it a bit further in advance. But thinner steaks, I think can get seasoning just before they go in the pan. So we'll start it in a cold pan here, and we'll kind of try and like stand them up, use each other as a bit of like a propping each other up. Now we'll turn on the pan and you're gonna see all the fat that comes out of that fat cap. So the reason you start in a cold pan is because actually rendering fat out, it wants to start kind of low and slow. If you start it in a hot pan, it almost like forms like a crust and it's just a little bit harder to pull out some of that fat. So it's just been a couple minutes, but you can already see that so much fat has come out of these already. That's gonna be really good for cooking the steaks in. So they've rendered really beautifully and you can tell that fat is actually really nice and golden, and that's a really good cue that it's time to put them on their side. Get them onto a tray to rest. See all of that fat that's just coming out of that fat cap. But it's so much beautiful beefy flavor. It's just gonna make that cut of steak taste like the best steak you've ever had. All right, our steaks have rested. It's time to slice. Oh, yum. Perfect. Maybe a little bite for me. That is so good. We've got great color. We've rendered off as much of that fat that would come off, but still a little bit on there is great for flavor. Beautiful pink on the inside, and it is incredibly tender. So the last thing is our salsa criolla on top. I'll put a little bit on top, but I'll definitely serve some on the side for people to help themselves. Yum. And then don't forget about our gorgeous creamed corn. So there you have it. That is picanha steaks with salsa criolla and creamed corn. Yum. I can't wait any longer. I have to get a bite of this delicious steak. Of all the cuts of steak that you can get these days, I really think that you should try picanha next time you want to try something a little bit different. Incredible flavor, really easy to cook. With that delicious corn and salsa criolla, those are delicious accompaniments that will take this into the warmer months. Beautiful fresh tomatoes and corn come into season then, and it's gonna be just the most perfect meal. So I think everyone should come in and have a taste. Just use your hands. So good beef, right? Oh my God, that's so good. Yes, let's go. Awesome.
Danielle.